Yo, 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 Muddy Waters Podcast. It's your boy Shaq Sims, and I'm here right now with a special guest. You know, with this quarantine thing going on, social distancing is at an all-time high. Even though, as you can see every week, I don't be giving a fuck. I'm still pulling up by these interviews. But I'm here right now with a legend, a South Carolina radio legend. One of the people who inspire not only people who want to be in the media industry, but people in general who come from not so good backgrounds, people who come from the struggle, people who come from backgrounds that most people wouldn't be proud of. But she turned lemons into lemonade. You know what I mean? And she not only made a dope life for herself, but she made a meaningful life for herself, through God, through purpose. So without further ado, I want to introduce Beasy Baybie.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. But thank you for coming on. Like, with everybody that comes on my show, I ask them, like, how has the quarantine affected them? How has the quarantine affected you? Before we get into your story, I want to know. Curious to know.
Well, I think first I have anxiety. So as soon as I heard there was like this new microorganism that could kill you, I was like, oh, I'm coming, Elizabeth. Like, I immediately went into panic mode. So that was first. And then once I kind of digested the fact that we are dealing with this and this is just what it is, and there's a new normal to it, it's kind of been all right. It's allowed me to get some things done. I started a 316 prayer, which is something I'm not comfortable with, like out loud praying. I can out loud speak, but like prayer is something that's always been intimate for me. So praying out loud with other people, not just hearing me, but watching me, like that's a big deal for me. So being able to, God putting that on me and being able to follow through, and I don't even know when I'm stopping. So like that was a thing that happened during quarantine. And then I've written my entire life story during quarantine. So it's been edited and I'm now in the correcting edits phase. So getting ready to publish that. I think I've been able to kind of be still and be quiet because I quit my job and then like 2 weeks later, Corona said, yo. So I went from one thing to the next and I didn't have nothing to do when Corona hit. So I've just been able to kind of be still and recenter, balance myself back out, because with radio and life, I was really, really busy and running all the time. So it's given me an opportunity, like most people, to just sit down and, kind of figure out who I am and who I'm going to be going into this next season and just reorganize mentally, emotionally, not just.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you feel like, because I know you said figure out who I am and who I'm going to be in this next season. Like, you would think somebody meet Beasy or see Beasy or hear Beasy on the radio, they would think she's got it all figured out. She knows who she is. Do you feel like who you are changes as the seasons progress? Because I feel the same way.
I feel like if it doesn't, you should check yourself.
Thanks.
Like, if seasons are changing and you're the same person that you used to be forever, there's something wrong there. We're supposed to continually grow and you're supposed to be learning. And as you learn, you change, because you know better, so you do better. So yeah, I think you should have an expectation of change.
Right. Change is the only thing that's constant. Right. And death too, but whatever. But so tell the people where you're from. Like, where is Beasy Baybie from originally?
I was born in a little city, like you could walk through it, in West Virginia named Charlestown. But I was raised I was born there, and then we kind of moved to Pennsylvania, and then Durham and Raleigh, North Carolina, and then some other place. Like, we went all kind of places. So my mom finally settled when I was like somewhere in elementary school in PA. And then I was raised in Reading, Pennsylvania, right outside of Philly. So I spent most of my youth and my adult years there.
When you were growing up, did people tell you had a good voice?
Oh, they hated my voice. I got picked on.
For real?
Yeah, people used to always say that I sounded like a boy because my voice was raspy. So they would always make fun of me because of my voice. So, ha ha.
What about the adults? What about the adults, like teachers? Because, those are the ones who can see it. Like, they look past the jokes and stuff. Even the teachers didn't?
And I ain't never heard nobody say, "Yo, you have a nice voice." And like, no,
Never?
no. Once I was on radio, yeah, but by then it's like it feels like cap because you saying that because I'm on the radio.
Yeah. For sure, for sure. Like growing up, what did you aspire to do though? Like what was your dream?
Um, at one point I wanted to be a comedian, and then
Okay.
at another point I wanted to be a police officer. Um,
I can definitely see you with a badge and a gun and a taser for sure. I
yeah,
can definitely see it.
playing dress up, I've done that before, but not for the right reasons. Yeah, but yeah, most definitely not
Listen,
where I'm supposed to be.
no knock warrant. That is
I've
so
had
that
one of
is so
those before, but I ain't never done one.
bad. So you wanted to be a cop and what else? Was
That's
that
it.
short
Only thing
lived?
I can remember is comedian and police officer.
Yeah.
And then I
So
think in my young adult years, I thought about being a social worker, but then I discovered that I probably needed to eat, and they probably ain't eating, because there's not a lot of money in service jobs. So yeah,
facts. It's definitely not. It's gotta be something you're passionate about.
right.
Passion don't pay the bills, man. Tell me.
No.
So when you were in Philly, like, what was the young Beasy Baby like? Like, were you a quiet kid? Were you, the cool kid,
What
mean
age?
girl?
Like what age? Because there's transitions to this.
High school.
High school, I was trouble. I think I was popular
Yeah.
and I was in the cool crowd, but I was like the delinquent in the cool crowd. So,
So you were the
there,
worst
there
one
were
in the cool crowd.
cheerleaders. Yeah, there were cheerleaders. There were football players. There were, the fly people, the people that could dress. There was me who was steady getting in trouble and fighting and stuff like that. So yeah, I didn't graduate. I actually dropped out in 11th grade. Um, got pregnant in 10th.
Hmm.
Yep.
Were you an angry kid? You would say hindsight. You
Yeah.
think you were angry?
Definitely. Yeah.
What do you think made you angry?
I don't think I knew then, I don't think why I don't even think you're angry, when you're
Of
younger.
course.
But
Right.
I think looking back at it, I think I was mad that I didn't have my father growing up.
Mm.
My mother and I are very different. So, and my mom's not the most, like, she doesn't, I talk, I communicate. That's kind of who I over talk. I'll probably kill my kids with communication. But my mom wasn't like that. So we didn't understand one another. So we didn't have a good relationship. So I think all of my, my adolescent years was spent feeling really alone.
Yeah.
I felt kind of lonely, and I don't know, I felt like it was me against the world. So that's how I acted.
Yeah. It's gonna come out one way or another.
Right.
For sure. So when you go through high school being, a mean girl, fighting people, and you drop out in the 11th grade, what was like then? Like, of course you're a new mother now. So like, were you working? Like, what were you doing?
Well, I was in foster care.
Oh,
Yeah. So I was in foster care, and then I got out of there and got my own place, and I worked really quick. Like I worked my work history was not long. I worked in McDonald's when I was like 15, first job type thing. But as I aged out of foster care, I worked at this store on the main street in Reading called Penn Street. It was called Underground Gear. And it was like a DTLR. So I worked there for like maybe a month. Worked at a telemarketing place for like a month or two, and then I just started selling drugs.
what was your introduction to selling drugs? Because I mean, of course, in PA around this time, I'm sure there's an abundance of it. Like, what was your introduction though to like actually selling drugs?
Well, the crib I moved into, it was an apartment, and I moved in the first floor. And I would come outside and sit on the porch, and there was a guy, like people would be hustling on the block. I didn't know I moved on a block. I didn't know what the block was.
Right.
But I moved on the block, and I moved into an old trap house, and I didn't know that either. So one of the guys that would be hustling, asked me if he could sit on the porch. And I was like, cool. So he sat on the porch with me hustling, and I'm like, he's making money. Like you're sitting here just caking. And then he was telling me how they was selling crack out the crib and showed me how my screen had been cut out. And like, so I'm like, oh, well, this is like nothing in my mind said you could go to jail. All that I heard was, I just moved into a spot. Oh, bingo. Like, I felt like I hit a lick. I didn't think like, bro, this might not be smart because they probably already watching the crib. But yeah, so that's how it started.
Wow. You know, in a street person's eyes or a person in the ghetto, they would feel that would be a blessing. Like, I moved into a spot like that's already booming. Yeah. I got a connect. They gonna let me hustle here. Cause you know, sometimes that be the problem. Like, you want to hustle, but you can't because it's somebody else blocked.
I didn't know. Like
you was good though.
That's how I feel about everything. I've always been ignorant to rules. So I didn't have a, you know, there wasn't a box for me. It was just, oh, I got work. These are people that want work. Here we go. Like, I didn't think about who else is on the block and what's going to happen if they find out I'm hustling. That wasn't even a thought. Yeah. And it never was an issue either.
Yeah. Now when you jumped into it, right? Did you, from that day, like, did you buy work or did somebody just give it to you and you pay them back?
Well, initially I was hustling packs. So, you get like 13 packs, sell 13 packs, give them back 100, you keep 30. So that's how I was going at first. Actually, it was probably like 20, 25. But then I realized I was like this is not enough. Like, I can't, like, how can I eat like this? This isn't working. So then, of course, I, leveled up and figured out how I could go about creating the packs, and working my own stuff. So then I started doing that.
Yeah. Would you say you adapted to the street life quickly?
I did. I think that I've always been the type of person that could kind of get in, could kind of fit in anywhere. So it wasn't hard for me to find friends. Like, my crib, I was 17, 18 years old. So people was always at the crib partying and drinking and smoking. So it was really easy for me to, formulate a team really quick and become kind of, I don't know, like I figured out where I was really fast. Because when I moved to that crib, my mom was living in the burbs, like right outside of the city. So she was living in a little house right outside the city. It was still, a little hood, but it wasn't Reading hood. So when I moved to Reading, like, that was my first experience being like in the city of Reading, and I was 18 years old. So we had lived there before, but I wasn't there. I was in group home. My mom and stepdad lived there. I wasn't there I would just come home on the weekends. So it was my first time being a big girl, like, in the city and by myself.
Yeah. Real quick, not to jump back, but to jump back. What got you in the group home? Like, was there a situation that you brought on yourself, or was it like a home situation?
I think it was a compilation. I think that, like I said, my mom and I, like, we could not communicate. It was really tough. No matter what we was trying to have a conversation about, it was going to go left pretty much. And I won't say it's her fault or my fault. I just think we were so different. And I was like, I was a bully, like I was fire. So you couldn't go to the left with me and I could speak like I can now. I was like, bam, I'm ready to go. So I think that was an issue. My mom I had 3 younger brothers. So she's, trying to raise them, and I'm wilding out, doing all kind of crazy stuff. I was reckless at school. Like, I had gotten expelled from one school and was getting suspended all the time from another school. I think it was a lot on her. And, I'm wilding out. So it's like, what if I keep her here, what's going to happen? Yeah.
I can just imagine you. I can see you, being a little demon in school. I can see it. I can see it. I can see you with like sweatpants on and one leg rolled up with some Timberland boots.
I had that too.
You had that? I grew out of that. See, I can see you. I can definitely see you with that. And a toothpick.
Horrible. Well, I had like 3 cuts in my eyebrow. I ain't really had a toothpick, but
yeah, 3. You definitely were a little demon back in high school for sure.
Horrible.
Facts. Now, back to your hustling. Like, when did you see things start to progress, and was that even a goal for you to progress in the streets, or was it just like, of course, because you $20, $30 from a pack, that's nothing. But once you started to make money to pay your bills and take care of your kid and, You can buy stuff. Were you comfortable with that, or was it like, nah, I want a Benz now. I want to move out of this shit. Like, I want to, or was it like you were just living in that moment and you were happy with what you had?
Yeah, it wasn't, I didn't have a plan. Like, there was no, it wasn't, I never wanted to be a kingpin. Like, I've always had paranoia issues. So I've always been a little concerned about, trying to be the big man and somebody coming for me. Like, I'm freaking out over pack money. So I know I would have been tripping as a kingpin. So that was never a dream. I never had Bentley or Benz dreams. Like, I literally was just enjoying myself. Like, I'm just hustling, just breaking night on the block with my people. And it wasn't a plan. It just was what it was. This was what I knew. And so that's how I lived. But no, I never had a plan for nothing.
What was like the biggest purchase you made, like, in the game when you were hustling?
I never did that. Like, I never stacked money and bought big ticket items. Like, we just
not even like a Gucci jacket, like.
But see, I never had Gucci, and that wasn't really my thing. Like, we were more into like Avirexes and that
them
type.
jackets was high, man.
Yeah,
Avirex was like $700-800.
But we didn't buy them. Like, we had somebody that managed the store, and so I never really, anything that I wanted. I never was into cars and stuff. We borrowed people's cars for work. So I wasn't really into purchasing a car. But anything I wanted, like, I didn't have to, let me save up and get this. It was just, I know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who could get me that.
That's usually how it is in the streets, though. Like, you could definitely get what you want at a low rate.
I mean, whatever you want, you just tell somebody as they walking down the street that you want it. And usually within 12 to 24 hours, you
definitely get it.
Yeah.
I've seen many air fryers. Actually, we got one in the crib, like air fryers. And,
I bought mine from the store, but I'm sure.
Yeah. It's a couple of family relatives that like to partake in crack cocaine smoke that will get you anything that you want.
We all got one or two.
Yeah, for sure. You know how to smell it. You know how to weed them out, Beasy. We all do, I'll tell you.
Right.
Once you see one, you see them all.
Right.
So when you in the game, right? Like, how long were you in the game before you actually got caught and went to jail?
Well, I never really got caught hustling. Well, kind of, sort of. Anyway, it was like probably like I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years, and I got caught up in a club shooting type situation.
Okay.
So that took me down first, and I was sitting down for that for a while, and then I ended up bailing out. And while I was out on bail, I said I wasn't going to hustle. I would just hustle weed. So I was hustling weed from the crib while I was out on bail, and the dude that I was dating was befriending someone that was known to be an informant. So they ended up, while I was out on bail for attempted murder and like 32 other counts, my home ended up getting raided. So they came in looking for crack, machine weapons, all kind of stuff. They was tearing the ceiling out. I had like 50 bags of weed or something. Like, it wasn't nothing in there. And he had a shotgun. I didn't know about the shotgun. I didn't know about the handgun. It was in his closet with his clothing. So it had nothing to do with me. So all I had was, I knew the marijuana was available to me. So that's what they got me for. So, that's when it all came down. That was like 2004, 2005, I caught those charges. And then I ended up getting out on bail, going to court. I went to court for like 4 years, 3 different attorneys. And then they offered me a couple pleas, and I didn't take them. And then the last plea they offered me, I was like, well, okay, because it probably ain't going to get no better than this. So I took the plea and did my time and did my parole, and here we are.
That's great. Like, so let's backtrack a little bit. You said you got locked up for a club shooting. Now, was it like hands of one, hands of all, or was it like you're the main suspect in this alleged club shooting?
I got convicted of solicitation and conspiracy to commit aggravated assault.
And
okay. co-defendants are still appealing their cases. So that's
They
that.
still in jail.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. My
Did they blow trial?
Yeah, they both blew trial.
Shit.
Yeah. But
Wow.
they were accused of actually committing the crime, where I was accused of initiating the incident that led to the crime, if that makes sense. So it's a little bit different. But yeah, they're both still fighting to come home, and they've been down, I guess, like 16 years now, 15 years now.
What was it? Men and women, or a man and a woman, or was it
my
both
daughter's
men?
father and another gentleman?
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you still communicate? Of course, you still communicate with your daughter's father, but the other guy. In a situation like that, you know, I know I have many friends who are still in the streets, who were in the streets, and we've done some things together in our younger years. I'm not trying to make it seem like I'm some ex-street guy, but you know, I've done some things in my past, and for a while as I got older, you know, when you become an adult and you realize, like, I'm not going back to how I used to be. I'm a different person now. I don't really feel like I'll be arrested for any serious crimes, or I'll go to jail for anything serious. It kind of gave me like survivor's remorse for a while. Like, they still stuck in it, and I'm not in it no more. But we used to do the same thing together. Do you ever, or have you ever had that? Because you got the least amount of time out of them. Of course, your charges were less, but still.
Most definitely. Yeah, I felt real bad. You know, that I was out here and he wasn't out here. Especially, that's my daughter's father. You know,
Right.
So I'm raising my daughter and her dad's still incarcerated. I felt bad that he was in there, but I know that the only part that I could play in this, you know, I ain't testify. I pled the fifth at the hearing. You know, like, I wasn't related to none of the time he got.
Yeah.
So the most I could do is make sure I take care of our daughter, you know, when I get home. Make sure I raise her up right. Make sure she knows, you know, who her father is. I would travel from down here to PA once a year, so that they could visit. I accepted calls, you know, made sure she wrote him and sent Father's Day cards. So that was kind of my role. It still felt bad, you know, because I made it out. But then at the same time, it's like, well, did I not want to make it out? You know, like, you know, it's a tough situation. But on my end, I feel like I did what I could do, you know, during that time. And I couldn't, my charges would have went away had I testified, you know, and I didn't. That's why I got my charges pressed. They offered me, they asked me to testify. And I was like, I told you the truth. I can't tell you nothing else. Like, I don't know what else you want me to say. So, yeah. So I ended up with charges. And, you know, yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, it's trash. Like, regardless of, and I'm glad you said what you said, like, you didn't testify, right? Because, Beasy, you are far removed from the streets. You haven't cursed one time during this interview.
Trying.
You talk about God a lot, but still in all, you said, I did not testify. And if you were in a situation where you had to testify about something that you had something to do with, you still wouldn't testify.
No, now I think, don't get me wrong, if I come to pick you up and you got a kilo of coke in your pocket and you don't tell me about that, and we
got nothing to do
over, bruh, I'm him.
But that ain't got nothing to do with you.
Right.
That
but
kilo of coke ain't got nothing to do with you.
Yeah, if I'm in the mix, I don't got no business doing that like that.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like when I sign up for certain things, then I don't get to say, hey, him, when I get in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, regardless of who it is, whether, you know. Now, there's an exception in my book, and this is, you ever watch State Property?
Yeah.
Now, the dude that snitched on me, now, had I got out on bail and knew he was doing something, I'm not going to say I wouldn't have hit him, you know, hit him back. But you know, I think it's dirty. But I think that's one thing. I never did. I didn't.
Of course.
I'm saying that I think I don't know if I wouldn't have. You know, like, if they would have said, well, you got somebody? Oh yeah, I got the dude that told on me. This is what's going on. you
There
know.
might
But
have been a conflict of interest in their eyes, though. Like, he told on you.
I mean, I don't know. I wasn't worried about that. Just saying, if one of my homies was like, well, B, this is something, I see that a little bit differently because, bro, you try to knock me down, so let's go. Let's
Yeah,
go. Ain't
right.
no rules in it. The game is dirty.
The game is dirty. The game is definitely dirty. Like, I remember when I was 16, the only criminal charge I ever got, I caught another charge before that, but it was like some petty magistrate court shit. But anyway, the charge that I got when I was 16 years old, somebody told on me. First of all, lied on me. I had nothing to do with what happened. They lied on me, right? And of course, you know this, when you're going to court, you get your motion of discovery. I was 16. My lawyer was a family friend, so he wouldn't let me see my motion because
Oh, wow.
because he was like, I don't want you. My dad saw it, but he wouldn't let me see it because he was like, I don't want you to retaliate or do anything to these people because you know who these people are, right? And I kind of got an idea of who the people were that told on me. And the reason I knew for a fact one of the guys told on me, like I'm willing to bet every dollar I got in my car. When I went to jail, when I turned myself in, I had a race car jacket. It was a Burger King race car jacket. I left it at the guy's house the night the situation happened. And when I turned myself in, the investigator was like, here's Shaquille, here's your jacket.
Dang, he told you and gave you your jacket back.
He was like, yeah, this Shaquille jacket. Because everybody, it was wintertime. So everybody, we at a party. Everybody leave their jackets at the crib. So he told on everybody. But, once I got over that situation and things in my life started to progress as far as like me getting those charges expunged and I was able to move on, I always looked at the situation like, look at where he is and look at where I am. Because he's doing bad and I'm not. So I never even really have any hard feelings towards dude about telling on me. I don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't feel a way either. Like
at the time you did though. I know you
everybody. Did. Yeah. I was ready to go. But hindsight 2020, you wouldn't have had nothing to tell if I wasn't in the game. And you low-key spared my life. The people that testified about the shooting, the people that testified and had cops running my crib, thank you. Because had you not stepped in and made the move you made, my life, I would have kept going. I'd probably be dead, seriously.
Yeah.
So, you gotta count your losses. Everything ain't as bad as it looks, when it first goes down. Jail wasn't fun, but I was already tough. That thing made me like steel force.
Extra tough. Were you in the feds or the state?
No. I wish I was in the feds. I heard good stories about the feds. I was at I was in SCI Muncie.
Okay. So that's a state prison.
Yeah.
Okay.
Women's prison in Pennsylvania. There's 2 of them, so that's one.
Okay. Now, when you were in prison, right? The day that they gave you that sentence, because you said you got 6 years.
No. Oh my God. Thank you, Jesus. No, I got 2. My max was
2 years.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I got 6 years of parole.
6 years. Okay. So they give you the 6 years. You go to prison your first night in there. Like, what is going through your mind? Like, are you panicking because you got anxiety? You're already a paranoid person. Like, are you like, I'm probably gonna have to fight as soon as I come in here. Like, as soon as they pop the lock.
I was there twice before. So, because I had gotten bailed out. So once before. I was in jail. I was in the prison once. And I sat for 2 months waiting on bail. The first time I got locked up. So I had already experienced the county thing before. So I kind of knew what that was hitting for. So I had like low-key prepared myself for that part. And I had never been upstate. So yeah, upstate, I was like, all right, you hear all kind of stories. Are they about to try to rape me? Like, what does this look like? So I didn't know. But one thing I knew, I ain't want no trouble. Like, I just wanted to come home. I wasn't trying to get hit. So I already knew that I was about to be real low key. And the second thing is, I'm not gay. So we don't have no reason to beef. Like, most of the beef up there is, that kind of stuff, or messy. I'm not messy. Yeah. I don't like females. We don't have no problems. Like, I'm just gonna do my time and get on through. So that's what I did.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if you listen to Wallow and Gilly's podcast, $1 Million Worth of Game, but they have this girl on there. She's a comedian. Her name is Don't Call Me White Girl. But she was I want to say she was in the feds or whatever, but she had a celly named Pop. She used to call her Pops like daddy. And she was gay. Pops was gay. And she used to call Pops her daddy. And it's like a running joke with them because she used to be like, shout out to Pops, free Pops. And they're like, you really was calling, like, you got a daddy and you calling another woman your daddy. Like,
and that's her name? What you gonna call her? If she said her name is Pops and her real name is Cheryl, what you look like calling her Cheryl?
But like Pop, like dad, like she was calling her Pops. Not
but is
like
that her
Pops.
name?
No, not Pops like that's her name. Like Pops like, I'm your daddy. Like, call me dad, Pops.
But that don't mean it was going down.
She said it though. She said it. She said Pops. They called her Pops because that
was they dealing with each other?
Nah, it was like dad. Like she was like a dad to her.
It's people up there that look like you, bro.
I can imagine.
So I mean, what? And if they want to be called, if you want to be called Joe, why am I not gonna call you Joe? That's what you want me to call you. Like, I'm not gonna fight with you. Your name say Jocelyn. If you want to be called Joe, your name is Joe.
Yeah.
I want to be called Beasy like that. So why wouldn't you? You know, don't bother me none.
Facts. Did you ever get in any scraps in jail, like fights?
Thank God, no. I had a close call, but it didn't go down. Thankfully, I was did something dumb. You know, up there you don't let nobody borrow nothing in jail. I didn't know that. I'm a nice person.
Yeah.
So somebody asked to borrow my lighter in the yard, and I gave it to her, and she said she didn't know where my lighter was. After I just washed her hand to somebody else, I was like, oh, this is not good. So, yeah. But no, we didn't fight. I got my lighter back, though.
Word.
Yeah.
I was about to say, I know you had to do something to get that lighter back.
Yeah.
Because you can't let somebody do that to you.
I took the L. Yeah, no, because if I would have walked away without my lighter, I might as well left my soul on the floor. Because that's it. Like, you coming for everything now. So, no, I wasn't leaving like that. I would have just had to take the L, whatever that looked like.
Did you have a shank?
No, I ain't want no problems in jail, bro. I was trying to come home. I'm not going through none of that.
Yeah.
When I tell you all the T's was crossed and the I's was dotted, I ain't did nothing. I ain't cooking myself. I got my neighbors to cook, and I just gave them, I would like pay them for their food. But I ain't want no stinger. I ain't want nothing.
What?
No, I was not playing around. Now, if I had like 10, 20 years, that's different. I got this little bit, and I'm going to get up here and gain some more time. Oh, no, not me.
Yeah.
Try to go home.
You was eating Chi-Chi's in there?
Oh, yeah.
What was your favorite?
I don't know. This girl would make one with cheese and chips and the little sausage. I ain't eat pork. So she would get the little beef summer sausage, and they would bring things back from the kitchen, little like green peppers and red peppers, and yeah. So that was my favorite. Just a plain beef summer sausage with extra cheese and peppers in it, and onion. That was a delicacy. When you could get peppers and onions, you was lit.
Yeah, it's something about up that way. Y'all get peppers and onions. Like, I remember when I was like 21, I went to truck driving school, and my roommate at the school I went to was a dude from Ohio. He went to prison. He was locked up for some years. Cool dude, Jose. I need to get in contact with him. But he made me a Chi-Chi, like a setup. Listen to me when I tell you. I've had meals from many restaurants in many states and regions of the United States. But that was the best. That was top 5 meal ever. It was like sausage, cheese, peppers, onions, chips.
Trombolis. Like, they made birthday cakes. I'm like, how you make a birthday cake with no nothing? Like, they was making honey buns with pudding and chocolate from a Hershey bar. And by the time they finessed the whole thing, it was a cake. Crazy. Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Ingenuity, man. The things people do in prison.
Now, imagine if they wasn't in prison. Imagine if the prison system wasn't set up like it is and people wasn't getting knocked off, the first time they did something. That kind of brilliance would be out here on the streets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For sure. Definitely. Like, I got homies in prison who buying clothes and shoes and paying bills on the streets.
Who you telling?
You know what I mean?
I get
Like,
FaceTime calls all the time. I'm like, yo, what is going on?
pay my phone bill. I mean,
Right,
damn.
right, yeah.
Thanks. So when you when they let the gates open, like, what was your plan? Because I know you didn't want to go back to the streets.
No, but I didn't have a plan either. Like in jail, I had a plan. Like I planned to go to jail. I went to jail like 265 and came home. I mean, I went to jail like 265 and came home like I lost like 60 pounds in jail.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a plan to get in there and get right and to be spiritually well and mentally well and emotionally healthy. So I wanted personally to be okay when I left. But I didn't have a plan for nothing else. Like I didn't know nothing else. So how could I plan for a life that I don't know what that life looks like and I don't know how to live that life? You know, because my whole adult life was hustling. So if I work, like I worked as bartenders, so I was a bartender for a couple years, stuff like that I did, but I never like had a legit, go to work, come home, don't run the streets, no hustle. Like I didn't know what to do, so I didn't have a plan. I had to go to a halfway house when I left there. So because I was a violent offender, back then they had a lot of people that were getting out of prison were going back to prison for committing violent crimes. Mm-hmm. So the only way I could get out was if I was able to I did violence prevention and anger management in prison. And then I had to get out and go to a halfway house that was specially made for violent offenders. And then I had to do a program there as well. So in my mind, I knew I had more time and could figure, things out because I still had another step before I went home.
Mm-hmm. Did you have support when you came home?
Yeah, I mean, I had friends, that were still my friends. When we were cool, I guess I didn't have nobody that was willing to take care of me, but I still had people that loved me, on the outside. Yeah. But
that's more important than anything.
Yeah, but I had to kind of fall back a little bit from that because they knew who I was when I went to jail, and I was trying to become somebody else. So when I was around them, it made it really hard to continue my morphing and my transformation. I was falling back into the same habits, and they were used to a certain Beasy. So, it was easy for me to just, oh yeah, this is what's up. And that wasn't what's up. So I had to kind of distance myself from that and couldn't find a home plan. So I ended up home planning to my oldest daughter's grandmom's house.
Okay.
So staying there was another like step, because I'm grown. She already been taking care of my daughter and now she take care of me too. And trying to find a job, like it's rough. So there wasn't no plan. It was just like, all right, God, I made a promise to God in jail. So that I think that promise was that commitment changed the trajectory of my life because I didn't know that God was real. Like my grandfather was a pastor and I had many people around me all my life talking about God, but it was never real to me. And then when I was in jail, I made a promise to him, and I it was kind of like a negotiation. Like, you do this, I'll do this. So, and he kept his end of the bargain, like even still to today. So my promise was to not get back into the streets. So I had no choice. Like, I felt like if I went back on that, like, if I ain't scared of nobody, I got to be scared of somebody who's making things happen that, like I'm saying, like doubting Thomas in the Bible, just asking certain things and then all of a sudden they happening. So I'm like, bro, this is real life. Like he really exists. I can't play with this. So I guess my plan was to just fulfill my promise, whatever that looked like, just to continue to move forward.
Yeah. It seems like, because I relate to a lot of what you said. I went through a really rough time in my life. And I was shown that God was real too. But it was similar to your situation because I wasn't in prison, but I was in prison mentally. And it was just me. I was living out of town by myself and it was just me. I didn't have any friends around, any family around. I wasn't talking to anybody. So I literally was living in a 1 mile radius. I went to this store, came back home, went to this store, came back home. Like, I was in a box. But through that experience, I was shown how real God was. All of my life, like, was played on the big TV screen in front of me, and I was like shown where this instance I went wrong, and where this instance God tried to show me. In this instance, He saved me from that. So they say epiphanies are had in solitude, and I said all that to say that, like, you may not have been in the box, but you were in prison. Like, you were away from society. You were by yourself, essentially. And I, similar situation to me. And when I came out of that situation, I came out a better person. And I made a promise to God too. And, I'm happy with what has come of that promise I made to God. So He definitely showed me He was real in a similar situation where it felt like all hope was gone, or where anybody would have felt like all hope was gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So I can definitely relate to you on that. Now, how did you get introduced to radio? Because you went from shooting dice, drinking 40s, selling crack out the window, making chi-chis, to radio. Like,
well, I think I used to rap back in the day too.
You did everything.
Yeah, I did. So I think I always was like in the entertainment, like I opened for Beanie Siegel and State Property and them. So to me, like the entertainment thing was easy, like the being in front of people and speaking. That was something I had already done. But I didn't really know I liked radio. Like I would listen to people like the morning show in Philly on Power 99 with Kobe Cole, who's like the president or vice president of Radio 1 now. But I listened to them growing up, and I always thought their job was dope, but it wasn't like I want to be that when I grow up. Like it was just, oh, they cool. But then when I got to Charlotte, I was working. No, I wasn't working. I was going to school, and I wasn't working yet. And I felt like God was telling me not to work until He showed me what to do. So I was just kind of like waiting, like is something going to drop out the sky type deal. And I was taking my daughter to school one day, and I was like changing the dial, and the first station that came on clear had a commercial, and the commercial said, "Do you think you have what it takes to be the next on-air superstar?" And I was like, let me try this. So I called and ended up going for an interview and ended up getting an internship, and the internship turned into co-hosting the morning show and executive producer within like a couple weeks. So that's how it happened. But I didn't really know I wanted to do it, until I did it. Then I was like, oh, I'm bit. This is it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you feel like at that point you found somewhat of your purpose?
No.
Or you feel like that was your purpose at that time?
No, I don't think my purpose, I don't think your purpose is a job. Like I don't think if I
Not a job. Not a job. Like what I mean by that is like, right, like somebody's purpose might be to teach, but they may be a felon and can't become a teacher, so they become a rapper. They become a you feel what I'm saying? Like whatever vessel or whatever avenue you use to do your purpose, it doesn't matter what it is. You're still walking in your purpose. You feel what I'm saying? Like I feel like media.
I think I'm a hope dealer. Like I think I went from dope to hope. So I think that God will level us up or put us on a platform to be able to reach the people that He designates needs to get that now. So I think when I was in Charlotte, I was put on that platform as kind of a way, like I was in Charlotte by myself. I was going through a divorce. I had 3 daughters. Like I'm just down here. So I think He gave me hope. And then He knew that every time that He leveled me up, I was only going to point back to Him. So I think that's what God does. I think everywhere He places us and everything He gives us is just to make sure that we can continue to glorify His name and to turn people into, soldiers for Him. So I think that's what it is, whether I'm on the radio or, TV or writing a book, like it all got to point back to Him or it's not going to go anywhere, it's not successciul. So I think that's what it was. I don't know if I'm supposed to be like the best radio personality in the world and then die, just stay in TV. I don't know.
That's ego. That's ego stuff. That's ego. It's not really about like being the best or whatever. It's like you started your life where you were at 17, 18 years old, had a kid, dropped out of school, all of the stuff that you were walking in your purpose, like you were doing what was kind of written. Of course, you have free will in this world to do what it is that you want to do, but it was like God put you through it so you could give people hope. You know, you give people hope, like you say, you're a hope dealer. So people that, I'm sure people tell you all the time they're inspired by your story, inspired by the things that you've gone through in your lifetime. And I just feel like the platform is just going to get bigger and bigger, or it may be different, maybe in a different medium, you know, maybe a different medium. I feel like your purpose isn't a job because jobs change all the time. Companies close, industries become obsolete. But at the same time, no matter what you're doing, as long as it's in the same vein of your purpose, you walk in your purpose.
There you go.
Yeah.
And God will
Now,
open doors. You know, job might change, but the purpose will stay the same.
Fact. Most definitely. Now, how did you go from Charlotte to Columbia, South Carolina? I mean, it's not too far, but.
One day I woke up and felt like God was telling me to quit my job. So I like went back to him because I was like, wait, quit this job that I like. And then he confirmed that, yes, I was supposed to quit. So I quit. And then I didn't have a job. So I was just like, I was sitting at home really thinking that I had messed up and that it wasn't God I was listening to, that I must have heard the devil and thought it was God. And I just screwed up. Like I lost the radio job. I'm about to go back to nothing again, like struggling. And then I was home. It was probably like 2-3 weeks later. I was home and I was low-key getting depressed. Rent's about to be due. I don't have nobody to help me. Like, my daughter's fathers are incarcerated and deceased. My three youngest, my oldest daughter, you know, her grandmother, her father are in PA. But so I didn't have nobody, you know, to help. I'm just us. So I left the crib because I was depressed and I was kind of afraid to stay in the house by myself as I was feeling so dark. So I got out the crib just to be like in the mix, you know, around people. So I was just driving, kind of crying and driving, but I was still to where, you know, I wasn't just there by myself. So as I'm driving, I saw this sign, and the sign was, I remember this sign because it was somebody that had come to the radio station before. So I was like, maybe if I just pop in and talk to him, it'll get my mind, you know, off of things, just to see somebody else. So I went in there, and when I walked in, he was like, hey, I heard you quit the morning show. And I said, yeah. And he said, why? I said, God told me to, you know, and I felt kind of stupid saying it because I was like, bro, nobody's gonna understand. Like, God, okay, God told you to, weirdo. But so that's what I said. And he was like, well, God must have told you to come in here too. Because I just got an email from Neek down at Hot 1039 that they're looking for a radio personality. So I was like, word. And he said, yeah, just send an air check. So I didn't know what an air check was. So I got with my homeboy back at the other station, and he made me an air check. And I sent it to Chris Connors, who was the PD then, and he interviewed me. And the company didn't hire convicted felons. So at first I was told I couldn't have the job because I was a convicted felon. As I was honest about it, I wasn't going to lie and lose the job. So he told me no, but I had already, like, I felt it, you know, like I knew that was it. I knew that was the next step. I had dreamt about moving somewhere with pine trees. I dreamt about having a board meeting in a room that had a long white table. It was like a conference room. And then people coming up to me asking me if they could take pictures with me. Like, I dreamt this when I wasn't, you know, when I didn't know nothing. So I knew that this is where I was supposed to be. I'd never seen palm trees anywhere except for TV. So when I pulled up at the job and there was a palm tree right there, I was like, oh my God, like God is showing me, you know, this stuff. So when he said no, I was like, I don't understand that. Like, how can you say no? And it's really like God already said yes. So as I'm driving home, as I'm driving up 77, heading back to Charlotte, and I'm crying and I'm driving, talking to God, like, you know, what is this? Like, dude said no, but I already know you said yes. So what is happening here? And so I screamed out. I was like, you know, what do you want me to do? Like, I'm trying everything not to go back to hustling and doing nothing wrong, but what am I supposed to do now, you know? So, and I was still on parole at this time. So as I'm hollering and crying, I hear him say, focus. So I'm like, okay, focus on what? So now I'm looking around for billboards and stuff in the grass, you know, little piece of paper on the grass that I'm supposed to be able to read, and couldn't see nothing. So then as I'm driving, it's like this car in front of me. So I try to go around the car like road rage. The car goes this way. So I'm like, so I go this way, the car goes this way. So as we going back and forth, I'm like, oh, they playing. Oh, he really trying to push me over the edge. I'm ready to, crash the car or something crazy. But instead of that, I kind of slowed down and looked and focused on the car. And the license plate of the car said WHX, the number 2-1. So what it would look like when you just looked at the license plate is WHXT and then 1. Well, the call letters to Hot 1039 are WHXT. And then it's 1039. So I was like, oh. So, it felt like, I'm looking at the plate. The plate is clearly giving me the call letters to the radio station. God is letting me know what he said still is, regardless of what it looks like. So I called the guy I had just interviewed with. And I said, hey, I was just crying, driving up the street. And I was talking to God. And God told me this. And then I gave him the whole story. And I said, and that's my job. And he was like, okay, you're crazy, right? I said, yes, sir. And he said, all right, goodbye, and got off the phone. But then like 2 hours later, he called me and told me to be there Monday morning.
Wow.
Yep.
So they made that exception for you.
He called corporate, and they asked me to write, like to outline, what I had done and what my felonies were for, and to also get a letter of recommendation from somebody that I used to work with. So I asked my old boss at the other radio station to write the letter of recommendation, which he did. He's a 25-year radio veteran. His name is BJ Murphy. So he wrote the letter, and I gave it to Chris Connors. Chris didn't know, but he didn't know I used to work for BJ. So he and BJ were college roommates or worked together on a college radio station, something like that. In college, they worked together in radio. So it was crazy to see how it all kind of connected, that he could trust what BJ was saying, because that's a longtime friend. And at the bottom of the letter, BJ was like, I put my 25-year radio career on her success. Like, this is it. Get her. So, yeah, that's where I started.
Wow. It all worked out how it was really supposed to.
Yep.
It all came together. Now, in your experience in radio, your years of being on the air, hosting events, you seeing artists come up, fall, you're telling the stories that are relevant for that time, like giving people insight, just all type of stuff. Like, what was the highlight of your career with 103.9 through it all? Like, if you could name one highlight moment, the number one highlight. Maybe you met somebody, maybe you
working. The highlight Hot opened me up to the opportunity to host a concert with some local guys, Ben Hated and Victory Promotions. They had a concert with DMX. It was like a throwback concert. And all growing up, like one of the things on my to-do bucket list before I die was pray with DMX. And I was able to pray with him. But it was crazy because we interviewed him early that day. So while we were interviewing him, my homeboy Caddy was like, yo, X, she wants to pray with you. And X was like, all right, well, later on, tell her come down. We gonna pray. So when I got to the concert, X was looking for me. Like, I'm upstairs hosting the concert, and he was like, nah, we can't pray yet. Where's Shorty at? Somebody go get Shorty. So he held everything up so that I could come downstairs to the dressing room, and he didn't pray until I got there. And then we all prayed. So that was probably the highlight, like celebrity highlight of my career, was being able to pray with him. Because I think X is, like, I think I know that God has given him a special job out here. And that's why he has so many attacks on him, because he's reaching so many. Like, when couldn't nobody reach me and I wasn't going to church and I wasn't listening to sermons, I was listening to prayers on X's albums. So he was reaching me in a way nobody else could at that time. And so I think that's why he got so much of a fight on him, because what he's doing is important. He's reaching people when nobody else reached. So that was that. And then I think being in Columbia for that time, I won't say that necessarily Hot, but when the floods came to South Carolina, I was able to partner with some people in Charlotte that I knew, some friends from when I worked in radio there. And just being able to serve, like we were able to fill up the 18-wheeler full of items and bring it into Monticello Road, into that community, and just unleash it, just give people the items that they needed. And, the floods were were really damaging to certain parts of our city. So being able to give back in that large, you know, on that large of a scale. And Houston, we did the same thing. People from South Carolina, because they had gone through that, you know, we knew what it felt like. So when the floods came to Houston, we in South Carolina gathered everything from everybody and filled my garage up with stuff until it was full, and then did a GoFundMe, and people from right here in this area donated, and then we filled up another truck and drove it to Houston, and you know, things like that. Like I don't really get all hype on a celebrity thing, because
Right.
like, I just feel like
They're people.
yeah, like it's nothing different, you know, between us and them. So I'm not going to put you on a pedestal, but I think the service I've been able to do since I've been here in the community, and if it weren't for Hot, people wouldn't know me on that level, and I wouldn't be able to do so much. So I'm thankful for, you know, Hot being able to put me on their platform so that I'd be able to reach more people and serve more people.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. For sure. Now, just recently, you know, you shared a few Instagram posts and Facebook Live videos of, you know, you sharing that God wanted you to leave Hot, and I'm sure you probably are still in that phase where you're trying to figure out what it is that God wants you to do and things of that nature. Like, talk about what that was like, the events leading up to that.
Well,
I've been curious to know. I
never wanted to quit the job, because I love radio. Like I love doing that, and I didn't want to leave there. But for like probably like a year, I've been feeling like I was supposed to be doing something different. Not necessarily not radio, but just not Hot. And I was trying to for like 2 years, I've been trying to do more. You know, like I'm a radio personality, but I aspire to do programming. I aspire to do, you know, video. I took video editing so that I could learn that to be more of an asset. Like I was just trying to do so much more. And it was like, no matter what I did, no doors were opening. Nothing was moving. It was like, no, you stay right here. Right here is good for you.
At Hot.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I went to God and I was like, God, I'm like, this is frustrating. You know, not that I don't like where I'm at, but I'm not a person that, like, if I'm running a machine making $1 million every 3 weeks, I'm still not going to be happy, because I don't want to just run a machine, you know, every day. So I felt like a little stagnated, like there was no growth. There was no room for growth. Things were moving, but not necessarily me, you know? So I was going to God like, all right, show me what to do, because if you want me to still be here, then I'll just be here, you know, whether I like it or don't like it. If it's part of what you have for me, then I don't have a choice, you know? So I as I was going to him, I was asking him for signs, like, you show me what to do, you know, whatever that looks like. And we ended up getting a new boss. Chris Connors ended up leaving. He's now at KISS FM in Columbia. So he's there, but we got another boss, and it wasn't working, bro. It was, I mean, hell, I'm gonna be real. He was disrespectful. And I do okay with leadership. Like I don't have no problem with leading. I mean, with following or with being obedient. You know, if you got something you need me to do, I do it. But there's a difference between saying, "Hey, B, can you do that for me?" and "Yo, do that right now because I told you to." Like, bro, I promise I'm not. Like, that's just not who I am. So, it ended up, there was some really bad things, and he ended up getting really aggressive and hollering, and, you know, now we at work, like, I'm a Leo. 2 things you can do to a Leo that's going to send them completely over the edge, and that's embarrass them and not appreciate them. And you doing both in front of everybody. So I remember specifically sitting across from him and counting. Like, I remember thinking, you have to count. You have to count, and you have to go somewhere else right now. Like, you can't be here, because if you be here, then you're going to respond to here. And this is not going to go well. And he's been in radio a very long time. You're a convicted felon who's been here 6 years. You can't, you know, like, this is not a situation you want people to have to pick a side on, especially corporate people, you know? So I was kind of like 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4 in my way down while he continued to snap. And then, when it was all done, I just assertively said, sir, that won't and can't happen again. So I understand that's who you are and that's how you're known to kind of move, but you can't do that here. So the next time, like this got to be the last time, because the next time I'm not 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Like this is just, it's going to be bad because I'm going to respond that way. So I think at that point, it was like for him probably, I don't know because he never said it. We never had the conversation. But from the way that he started moving after that, it would appear that it was, oh, she's going to be problematic. Because you can do that to everybody else, but I can't let you do that to me,
Thanks.
That goes both ways. So that was an issue, but I stayed. Even that was like warning. I kept getting those kind of warnings. And then I got offered, I was told that they wanted me to do all the websites posting, all the social media posting. I would be in charge of websites, social media. I would be assisting promotions and some other things. Like it was basically 5 other titles, but no titles and no money. And the money that I was making while working there was not even enough to pay for health insurance. Like I was on Medicaid the whole time I worked at Hot because I couldn't, the amount of money that I was making there did not I qualified for Medicaid because I was that, like my income was that low. So you want me, I'm already not making enough to get out of the poverty level, obviously, but you want me to do more. And you don't want to give me titles so that I look like I'm doing something so that I can carry it somewhere else. And you don't want to pay me more. And the options were, you can do this or you can resign. And I was like, oh God, like now this is, so I already got you, like I had anxiety, like the way he was behaving and, treating me, I would get anxious just going to work because I was low key fearful. Like, what if you say something and what if I can't? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, what if something happens and I like fire back at you or something? Like it was causing me really, really bad anxiety, but I was still pushing through it because God hadn't said move yet. So I'm like, maybe this is something God's using, to help me grow. And then that happened. And I went back into the studio immediately. Before I went on air, I was like, Lord, please. Like this is, I'm already dealing with the whole anxiety. I'm already dealing with dude acting like some type of abusive husband. And now I'm getting the whole, now do this 8 million stuff or resign. So I'm like, what do I do now? And as I'm praying, no lie, I got word that he was in his office making a phone call, trying to figure out how to fire me. And I was like, yep, that's it. That's it. Because I work really hard to make sure that my integrity is what it's supposed to be, that I'm representing Christ in the right way. Like, if I was going to go out like that, I would have just snapped on you, buddy. Like if that's the way that, if I didn't care about none of that stuff, I would have just lost it. But it takes a lot for a person who's been a whole nother person and who constantly every day makes a decision to be a different person. That's a choice. Like it's not like I just wake up like, oh, life is great. Things are happy every day. No, it's a choice and it's a decision, a made up mind I got to have every day to not backslide. And you going to try to figure out how to pretend that something happened so that I can look bad. I'm not going to let you do me like that. And God knew I wouldn't. So that was my third strike. I was like, oh, that's it. I'm out. So I left.
As you should have.
Yeah.
He sounds like a sucker.
Yeah.
Was he white?
Get alone.
Was he white?
No. Actually, the GM is white, and he had several conversations with me trying to get me not to leave. But it ain't no, if you going to God saying, God, give me a sign if I should leave my girl, and your girl cheat. Then you ask for another sign, and you come home and spend all your bread. Yeah. Or she burn you. Like, how many more signs do I got to give you before something bad, you wake up and she's standing over you with a gun? So it was no going back then. Like you can't fix it now because you done hit me. I ran out of cheeks. So yeah, that's where we at.
That's crazy. That is crazy. But you know what, Beasy, I'm so glad, you know, you're still here to talk about it, and you're still smiling, and you're still pushing forward, and you're still, you know, sometimes when people go through things like that, it's kind of hard to bounce back mentally, right? You somewhere for X amount of years doing something you love. Now you're no longer able to do that. You kind of lose your footing. You lose your footing, you lose your hope, but you didn't do that. So, you know, I'm glad you were able to stay afloat mentally, you know what I mean? And you keep pushing, and that you're still walking in your purpose, because you give people hope and wisdom for sure. You definitely do. You know,
Yeah, I think
especially with the
the
prayer.
key to that is not like I never got caught up in the hype. You know, like when people be like, "Oh my God, that's Beasy," I'll be like, "Yo, what up?" You know, like or people, I want to take a picture, but I know you don't have your makeup on. I don't never have my makeup on. Come on, you know, like I never got caught up in the Beasy from Hot 103.9. It's always been, no, this is just me. Because the day God says walk away, I don't need nothing making me feel like I'm so attached to this thing that I can't let it go.
Mm-hmm. And that's real. I feel like a lot of people get too caught up in things, in the moments, in positions. Mm-hmm. And that's where you get people like your old boss. You know, you get people like your old boss who get caught up in position. And it's like, bro, the same way I can be fired, you can be fired, bro. Yeah. You just make a little bit more money than me and got some more responsibilities and more of a headache than I do. So.
Yeah. I don't wish him no ill will, you know. It goes the way it's supposed to.
He was selling crack, you'd definitely be snitching on him, though, huh?
No, I'd rob him, but yeah.
You rob him?
Back in the day, I'm not snitching on him. I'm robbing him.
You're robbing him?
But yeah, today I just, you know, I pray God give him a clean mind and a clear heart. As
you should. Poor baby.
Yeah.
Facts. Because you know he's going through something that's unspoken of. He's going through something.
I told him that though. Prior to all of this stuff going down, I had a vision or something that he was depressed and was thinking about doing something bad to himself. So I told him, I went into work and was like, you know, this is weird because we don't know each other like that, but God wanted me to tell you, you know, that it's gonna be okay. And you know, the dark thoughts that you're having, you gotta shake that thing off and do what you need to do, whether it be therapy or start journaling or whatever. And I gave him a book with a journal in the back of it so he could start working it out. And you know, because that's what God put on me. I didn't like him, but at the same time, I felt like, bruh, God is showing me that you like low key in your house at night thinking about killing yourself, and I can intervene. I'm supposed to, whether I like you or not. So I did, but I don't know. That could have been more part of the problem.
Right. Definitely. But you did your part though.
Yeah.
You did your part. You know, it's crazy. I'm not saying we're alike, but like God puts things on my heart too. Like God puts things on my heart. You know, I'm going through a health journey where I'm learning about health and the body, and I have my own health scares and experiences recently. And I've been on this journey for 8 years, right? Like, stop eating certain foods, figuring out this food affects this part of the body and all of this and that. But it was like, for years, I've been praying for like guidance, praying for, I would say guidance and knowledge and the tools. Because, you know, we all have the power to save ourselves, right? In certain things. But it was like the voices from God started to get louder and louder. And he doesn't actually say stuff to me. He just shows me things. Like, I'll go through something tragic, or what'll feel like tragic, but then at the end of the video, it'll be like, okay, I see the lesson in that. So, like, I started going through something with my eyes where I get inflammation in my eyes, and I found out it was autoimmune. Essentially what you eat, things of that nature. And I tested some theories I had read about, and it's crazy. I ordered the herbs prior to my eyes getting bad that ended up helping me. You see what I'm saying? While I was down bad with my eyes and stuff like that. And I was reading books about it, and it was just pressing to me. It was like really pressing. Like, I got to learn this. I got to learn this now. But then I went down, and when you got inflammation in your eyes, you can't really do much because your eyes are sensitive to light. They hurt. So I'm essentially at home, my eyes closed. So all I'm doing is just remembering the things that the books told me to do and Dr. Sebi told me to do and all of this and that. And the medicine that they gave me didn't help me. I stopped taking the medicine and the herbs helped me. And I had a flare up again due to my own fault. And it cleared up in a week. Wow. No medicine from the doctor, no doctor's appointment. So when I start seeing people, like this girl says she has lupus and she lost her job because of her lupus, I know she may not receive the information that I give her. She's probably not in a place, but it was on my heart to give it to her.
Right.
Gave her the information, and I was like, you know, I would be wrong if I didn't give it to you.
Right.
So I gave it to her, which I know the stuff will help her, but some people don't want to do certain things to help themselves. Some people just, and I was once that person.
Well, they might not know. You know, knowledge is power, and sometimes we get so accustomed to what we're used to that anything that don't fall in line with that can be a little bit scary. So,
or you might just be like, I'm not doing that. Like, you need to stop doing what? Drink what? Drink water. You feel me? Like, I know I was there.
Right.
It was a struggle for me to give up pork 8 years ago. Like, give up pepperoni. Like, what you mean? But
it's a beef pepperoni.
Huh?
They got beef pepperoni.
I don't eat no meat no more. So I'm
cool.
Yeah. But Beasy, I really appreciate you for coming on the show.
Yeah.
I appreciate you for coming on. Like, I really enjoyed it. Your story is very dope and very inspiring. And when I'm going through something, I'm definitely gonna hit you to pray for me or pray with me.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
I always tell people that pray for them. My prayers ain't better than yours. We pray together. Now that's powerful.
Facts. Most definitely. And, you know, I just want to say again, I appreciate you coming on. I know what's coming in the future is definitely going to be bigger and better than what you were doing prior. And you will be appreciated in your next role, whatever that may be.
Long as I hear well done from God, I'm cool.
Facts. And it makes sense too now. It gotta make sense.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Definitely gotta make sense. Tell the people where they can find you at on socials.
Beasy Baybie, BeasyBaybie, Instagram, Facebook. I don't play on Twitter, but one day I might, so I'm over there too. BeasyBaybie.com. That's pretty much it. Beasy Baybie everywhere.
Beasy Baybie everywhere, most definitely.
That Night I Died. That Night I Died is the first book I published. That's a short story, small book with a journal in the back, and then my new book should be out next month. I think it's going to be called Convict.
Okay.
That's the title I'm on right now. It's the third title, so hopefully that's what it's going to be called. But it'll be out in July. And that's my entire life story.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it.
Yep, thank you.
Convict music.
Right. Not with him in 6ix9ine though. It's doing too much right now.
It's the Styles P version?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that one, yeah.
Facts. You ain't telling nobody.
Nah.
Definitely.
No.
Definitely. But again, I appreciate you for coming on. Do you want to leave the people with anything? Like any words of wisdom?
I don't know. The only thing I can tell you is get to God. Like, you know, we spend our whole lives chasing our tails. Like, if you don't know God, you truly don't know nothing. So you want to spend your whole life trying to figure out how to not be depressed, how to please people, how to, you know, like it's going to be it's like a treadmill. Like, you're not going nowhere. You're moving real fast or real slow or skipping, whatever you're doing. It's going to be in vain because it's not aligning with the reason you've been created to be here. So you gotta get to God in order to figure out who you really supposed to be, because then, you know, you can start working on really why you're here.
That's a jewel. That's a jewel. For sure. Definitely. You know, I want to leave you niggas with a jewel too. You know, if you are wearing masks during this coronavirus pandemic, but you don't use condoms and you sleep with different women raw and you drink Hennessy after your homeboys, you should be ashamed of yourself.
I'm going to tell you one thing. Most of y'all would rather get an STD than a child. So please wear condoms.
I would definitely rather get an STD than a child. For sure.
Especially like a chlamydia, gonorrhea, like one of them STDs. Try to tell you, take some
2
pills.
pills and a shot, baby.
Because that child support, the baby mama drama, and the 18 years, wait till they get teenagers, you just wear a condom. He said
Facts. Remember when the shot used to sting?
I never got the shot. But
You never got the shot? I thought we could relate on that. We've been relating the whole episode.
That I never got the shot. Maybe I don't know. Is that like, how old are you?
26. But listen, back in the day. All right, so the shot, right?
Like Depo-Provera? Birth Control?
Not really. So look, when you get an STD, right? Or let's just say you come in contact with somebody that you believe to have it, right? What they do is they give you 2 shots. It's 2 antibiotics. I think the 2 antibiotics are for, I think, chlamydia, and the shot is for gonorrhea. But they treat you for both because usually,
They come together?
Usually, like if you have chlamydia, you usually have gonorrhea, or if you have gonorrhea, you usually have chlamydia. I've walked that road many times, but listen, that's neither here nor there.
I'm glad you have come out of this season a better person.
A more informed person, I should say.
Okay.
So, the shot used to burn, but it used to burn because it was, I don't know what was in it, but now they put lidocaine in it, and lidocaine numbs you. It numbs it so you don't feel the pain of the shot because it burns. It's like somebody injecting venom into your buttocks, and it goes all the way down.
Stop getting all the shots so you don't know how much they've grown.
Listen, you got it. Listen, one thing about life's about progression. You got to check sometimes. Like, let me see what they doing over there.
You're talking about now they have a patch, and the way I'm gonna need you to just do better, so we don't need to know your progression in the shot and patch, theories.
You listen to YoungBoy, NBA YoungBoy?
No.
You ever heard his song? I feel like I'm Gucci Mane in 2006. I'm pretty sure you heard that on the radio.
I don't like NBA YoungBoy.
You didn't hear the song though? I
probably turned it off. Yeah.
Well, he got a line that says, "I feel like I'm Gucci Mane in 2006." I haven't used the condom since 2006. And we're going. No, I'm just joking. I'm joking. But yeah, I said all that to say, you niggas need to get y'all priorities in order, man. Y'all wearing masks, but y'all share blunts with your homies, and you don't use condoms, and you eat random girls out. You niggas should be ashamed of yourself. But Beasy, thank you again.
It's been real.
It's been real. Muddy Waters, we out.